Hello, and welcome to Off to See the Ghosties. My name is Aubrey. I'm one of the paranormal investigators here at the Sorrel-Weed House. And this time around, I was off to see the ghosties at the Octagon House in Washington, D.C. Now, a little bit about the Washington, D.C. Octagon House. There are a couple different versions of Octagon houses throughout the U.S. We're focusing on just the Washington, D.C. one. We call it that because it is in the shape of an octagon. But that's not where the history is going to start. No, our history starts in 1800 when it was first constructed for John Taylor III and his wife Anne Taylor. This was initially supposed to be just their vacation home while they were having their primary residence in the plantation property in Mount Airy, Virginia. But little things changed and eventually it did become their primary residence. Now, between that time frame, it was also used as a temporary White House. Yes, the White House. During a fire in 1814, the White House was burned down, and James Madison, our president, and his wife Dolly Madison used the Octagon House as a private residence. Mr. Madison hosted all of his presidential duties, while Miss Madison hosted not so elegant parties. We'll get into that momentarily. Moving forward with the history, John Taylor passed away in 1828, and then Miss Taylor followed in 1855, a little bit of a gap. Then the sons took care of the property. They rented it out and had an array of uses, from a all-girls Christian school to tenement housing for poor houses, and then all the way up to government buildings and used for basic government storage, I suppose. Then afterwards, it was eventually sold, and it was bought by the Architectural Institute, where they did turn it into their primary location. Since then, they moved their location into a brand new building, and the Octagon House is now officially a cute little museum that you can take a tour of. And I got not just a tour, but was lucky enough to also investigate it to find out if it's haunted. It's said by a lot of tour guides in Washington, D.C. to be one of the most haunted houses, and I got to find out whether or not that's true. So, moving on to our ghost history. There are a few different stories that I personally have already heard of for the Octagon House, and the most commonly told story actually involves Mr. Taylor's daughters. Now, the rumor goes at least one of the daughters had an untimely death in the spiral staircase that is centered right in the middle of the home. Story goes that, keep in mind that the British just burned down a lot of DC. This probably isn't the best idea, but she fell in love with a British soldier. Then Mr. Taylor forbade it, said no. She was heartbroken, and depending on who's telling the story, there are different variations. It says that she jumped over the spiral staircase, landing on the marble below. It says that she hung herself from one of the staircase pieces, dying and committing suicide. At the end of the day, it still just says something along the lines of she committed suicide because of her heartbreak. Then just a few years later, Mr. Taylor ended up dying because of the guilt that he felt causing his daughter to die. Then in the same situation, there was a second story that maybe another daughter had a similar thing. She fell in love with a different type of guy, but no, and then she ultimately killed herself too. But I went there for the facts. I took one of our history tours, and I asked questions. And it may not actually be that true. There were, in fact, two daughters that most likely died in the home. But it looks like they also most likely died in infancy. They died at a very, 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 very young age before ever getting to the point of potentially having a love interest. And most likely with the young age, it could have just been a simpler disease like yellow fever, scarlet fever, something along those lines. So that story, dun dun dun, is not historically accurate. But I still investigated nonetheless, taking that in mind. Moving onward, another story kind of plays into the last one we just heard, was that there was an enslaved worker. The Taylors did have up to 18 enslaved working on this property at the time. But rumor goes that same thing with a British soldier too. This enslaved was being chased by a British soldier that was going to sexually abuse her. She ultimately jumped over the railing of the staircase, falling down below, saying that she would rather commit suicide than have to handle this British soldier. Again, not a lot of documentation. Now, I'm not going to say that did not exactly happen. With enslaved people back then, you're considered property, not a person. So there's always a possibility that a death like that did occur. It's just that would not have been ever documented. No investigation ever would have been done into this person's death, because at the time they were considered property, not people, unfortunately. Now, a few other hauntings that were reported that I kind of were a little bit iffy about would be, so there is a story that Dolly Madison, James Madison, yes, the president's wife, haunts the property. I did talk to one of the tour guides there, and his simple answer was no. She apparently hated living in that house. It was just too small for her to host her extravagant presidential parties. So if she hated it while she was alive, why would she be there while she was dead? And honestly, yes, that is a very, very valid point. And through my investigation, no, I didn't find any evidence that Dolly Madison was ever there. Next up, okay, yes, there were the two daughters, and yeah, we're leaning more towards they died during infancy. I've got no reports of children being on the property whatsoever either, so cross that off the list. And lastly, another story that cannot be confirmed or denied, however, it is a very well spread rumor, is that while it was during the tenement housing ownership, there may have been a card battle in one of the rooms that went awry and someone got shot because of it. That one? Okay. I did get some responses from someone that insisted that they were from the tenement housing that may have potentially been a part of this so-called card game that went awry. Starting with the second floor footage, let's roll.
Is there anyone that would like to talk to me? John? Is John Taylor here? I heard John Me. Are you John Taylor the Third? Are you John Taylor the Fourth? Mr. Taylor, are you happy to have your house in such good condition? Are you choosing to still stay here? Is your wife here as well? She is. Are you okay with me having a conversation with you? Okay, that's fine. Well, in that case, I'll go somewhere else then. If there is someone in this room, can you please point to where you're standing? Are you where that tapping noise is? So these equipment pieces here are dowsing rods. If you cross an X like this, that would mean a yes. If you push them away, that would mean a no. Is the person standing in the corner of the room one of the Taylors? Were you one of the families that lived here when it was tenement housing? Could you cross the rods all the way for me, please? If you need. Thank you. Can you please uncross the rods for me? Did someone just walk by behind me? Or was that just a normal shadow? If you're one of the tenement family members, did you die here? I heard a story about how there's a card game upstairs that went awry and it ended up in a shooting. Is that true? I'm just trying to figure out who I'm talking to.
Moving to the stairwell and main floor. Let's roll it. Do you not like that I'm walking towards it? Would anyone in here like to talk to me? Could I get you something to drink? What would you like? Whiskey? Bourbon? Sherry? Gin? Toby? Do you all enjoy the piano? Do you enjoy the painting over the fireplace mantel? It's very beautiful. Did that just say ghosts? Were you asking me if I was looking for ghosts? Yes, but I mean it in the most respectful way. That's why I don't use the term ghost hunter. I find it derogative. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm not hunting you. I'm just interested in educating people about how to properly interact with the deceased in a very respectful manner. And I'm hoping that I'm showing my values while exploring this home. Hello? Could you please... Well, I'm not gonna... Are you having fun with it? Could you please stop for a moment? There. I like that. I like the enthusiasm. And lastly, we have the enslaved quarters and basement. Is there a lovely lady in this room with me? Could you please cross the rods for a yes? Wonderful. Thank you kindly. Can you please uncross the rods for me? Thank you. Were you employed by the Talos? The Talo family? Could you please cross the rods all the way for a yes? And then separate them for a no? You did not work for the Talos, I'm sorry. I hate to ask this question, I know it's kind of a touchy subject, but it will help me figure out who I'm speaking with. Did you pass away in the 1800s? Did you pass away in the 1900s? My apologies, I won't press any further into that subject. I know it's you're welcome, very depressing. So I imagine you probably wouldn't want to talk about that. I know I wouldn't want to talk about it either, so that's very understandable. Okay. Well, in that case, so you're a female. Do you like the color pink? No. How about purple? I love purple. I'd like to know who I'm communicating with, so if you'd like, you can also... Old floorboards. They startle me every time. Every time they get me, I swear. Okay. If you'd like to tell me your name, you can kind of just say it in my head and I'm able to pick up on it. So let's see here. Let's see if I can figure this out for you. Here, and I'll do this. So when I get to the name, you can cross the rods for me. So let's see. Now, I don't think this is at all what you told me, but I thought I would ask anyways. Is your name Winnie? Are you Miss Winnie? Hi. I read about you, actually. Thank you. So your name is Winnie Jackson, then, I'm presuming. Yes? presuming this would not have at all been by choice, but did you enjoy working for the Talos? If you need to use me for energy, you're more than welcome to use my energy. It makes it easier to communicate. I just want to chat. You didn't like the Talos? Just be ashamed to be stuck with them then, I'd imagine. I'm adjusting. Are they forcing you to stay on the property? And forcing you to stay down here? Thank you. Did you see that it snowed this morning? Do you like it when it snows here? Personally, I never liked the cold. I never liked the cold. It was never my thing, so I moved down south. I like summertime where it's nice and warm and all the flowers are blooming. Do you like listening to music? I know back home, the spirits that I have, some of them really like music and they like to learn about new type of music. So if you want, I can play some songs for you to see if you like them. Would you like to give that a shot? Give that a try? Wrong button. Do you like this music? Alright, well I'm gonna sweep through this, and if you want to talk, you're more than welcome to it. It smells like a cellar in here. I don't even know how to describe a cellar smell, but it smells like a cellar. Is there anyone here that could get me a drink? Are you saying that because there's not actually alcohol in here? Are you saying that because I'm a woman and a woman shouldn't be getting any hard liquor? I don't take a personal offense to that. It's kind of hard to talk to the dead. There is that slight barrier of living versus dead, so I cannot 100% say for certain. But I'll let you guys review the evidence and you can come to your own conclusions. I'll also fully admit this was my first time doing an investigation on my own was at a place other than the Sorrel-Weed House, so I cannot 100% confirm I know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just winging it and hoping for the best. So if you hear any other responses, if you see anything at all, please let me know. I want to know your side of things because I'm not going to 100% say I'm correct, because chances are I'm probably not 100% sure that I'm correct either. So I would love to have a different perspective of it. So comment below, message, anything at all, and I would love to hear back. And for now, enjoy my different footage, enjoy reviewing my investigation evidence, and hopefully we will see you again soon for another episode of Off to See the Ghosties.